Is it possible to be too prepared? Here's what happened to me once. Hi, I'm John Liebman. Welcome to another edition of The Essence of Groove. So when I was down in Miami in the 80s, I was working my way into the local music scene. I was doing a bunch of Latin gigs, a bunch of club dates. I'd done a few shows, and I was getting pretty acclimated and getting known, and people were starting to call me and hire me for various gigs and shows and stuff. And I wanted to take it to the next step. And I thought playing in the pit orchestra of the Broadway musical shows would be a fun thing to do. So I found out who the contractor was in the area, who hired all the musicians, and a very nice guy, Bob Percy. And I got his number, I called him up, and very friendly, nice conversation. And he says, well, it's nice to know you, John. I don't have anything for you now, but thank you for calling. And I said, well, thank you, Mr. Percy. Is it okay if I check back with you in, what did I say, a month, a couple of months, whatever it was? And he said, sure, anytime. And I did that. I called him. I don't know how often I called him, every couple of months or every, not too often, not enough to, disturb him or anything like that. And every time I asked, is it okay if I call you, if I follow up? And every time he said yes. This went on for 2 years. 2 years. And finally he called me and he says, John, Bob Percy, I have a show where I think I could use you, but I need to know somebody who knows you. Can you give me somebody that you would know, that I would know, that I could call? I said, sure, you can call this one or you can call this one. He says, this one is good enough. And that was it. It was a short conversation. He called, then he called me back and he says, I'd like to hire you. It's a Broadway show. It's called Into the Woods. And Cleo Lane was the star. And I think it was like 3 weeks in Fort Lauderdale and 2 weeks in Palm Beach. So it's a bit of driving for me from Miami, but I didn't care. I was happy to get it. And then when I got hired for the gig, it was like, uh-oh, now what? So I got out my sandal book, which is the method book, that very popular, widely used book that my classical double bass teacher had me go through. And pretty much everybody I've talked to that studied classical double bass went through the sandal book. And I went through and I practiced my scales and my string crossings and my arpeggios and my bowings. The bowings, I practiced every kind of bowing I could, as if I was going to have a solo in each style. I was ready. I was prepared. I don't remember how much notice he gave me. Probably not all that much. So finally comes the first day of rehearsal, and I went there. The conductor is there. The other people in the orchestra were there. This was a big deal. Stephen Sondheim came to some of the rehearsals. I mean, it was a big production. And after studying all those bowings and playing all those scales and all the up and down the bass and everywhere, the conductor says, okay, we're ready. And he cues the band, and I'm looking at my part, and it's something like, there was more to it than that, but that's kind of how it started. And I didn't really need to, I didn't have any solos in the bowing or any of that intricate stuff. But the point is, I was prepared. Did I waste my time? I don't think so. I mean, it's better to be able to do it and not have to do it than it is if you have to do it and you're not prepared to do it. The shows went well. I got to know the contractor better, and the conductor really liked my playing. And after the show ended, he called me, I don't know, a couple weeks later, whatever it was, and asked me if I would be interested in doing the national tour of the show. Yeah. So it was, and I did. We went to, where did we go? Denver, Tulsa, Des Moines, Cleveland, and we played all the Fox theaters, St. Louis, Detroit, Atlanta. We played Heinz Hall in Pittsburgh, played the Wilmington Center in the DuPont Center in Wilmington, Delaware. And then I started to do some stuff at the Burt Reynolds Theater. That was cool. Lonnie Anderson would hang out backstage. That was up in Jupiter, Florida. And the Coconut Grove Playhouse. And then I became the house bassist at the Hirschfeld Theater on Miami Beach. All because there is an art to pushing without being pushy. So I didn't call Bob Percy every other day. I called him every couple of months, every few months. It took 2 years, but it also took some persistence. So I throw that out to you for what it's worth. Make sure, or try to make sure, you know what you're getting into. Don't say you can read really well if you can't read music. Don't say you can slap on the bass if you can't slap. Don't say you can do something that you can't do. But do your best to find out what it is that you're going to be called upon to do. And be careful about saying yes, because once you say yes, and it could be very uncomfortable if you get there and you're just not able to do what you're called upon to do. So I just wanted to share my story. I'd like to hear your experience, if anything like that has happened to you, and what you did in terms of preparation, what you wish you would have done in terms of preparation, and how it worked out for you, what your takeaway was, what you learned, anything that would inspire others. Leave a comment, let me know. I really would like to hear your story. I'd like to hear from you. I've got all kinds of tips and advice for learning bass. So if you're not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you take care of that right now so you don't miss anything. I do this every week. In fact, I'll see you back here next week, right here, same time, same place, with another edition of The Essence of Groove. I'm John Liebman. Let's play bass.